Welcome to Horrors Yet Unseen, the podcast where we assign each other horror movies to watch and then talk about it so our spouses don't have to listen to us go on and on and on about scary stuff they don't like. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steve. Let's talk about some scary movies. By the way, there will absolutely be spoilers in this show. You have been warned. What? You mind telling me a little bit about the movie? Was it good?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.8 out of 5.
No,
I thought it was fantastic.
Wow,
it is very video game like. So I know nothing of if it's a book. I know nothing about the backstory of this thing.
Oh, okay. Neither do I.
So if it's a book, if it's a comic, if it's a what, I don't know. I saw the trailer, was like, I'm going to go, and I didn't do any digging or research or whatever beforehand. And it rivals Abigail in the amount of blood that's in it. Also, by the way, did you see that, like, the director, Radio Silence, of Abigail apologized to the cast for the amount of blood that... Is so funny. Like,
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, man. That was fantastic. And also, like, I mean, you did cover especially Melissa. You covered or Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa. Wait,
you covered her. I mean, she was just head to toe.
Well, it's like just like Ready or Not,
right?
At the end, Samara Weaving was like completely covered in blood. Like, this guy has a thing for covering the final girl in blood.
It's fantastic. Yeah. So
whatever does
anyway,
it for you,
okay. Yeah. So Boy Kills World. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it did go. Like, the ending went to a place that I didn't know it was going to go, which was pretty cool. Yeah, but it was very Hunger Games like, same kind of vibe, not too heavy. Like, they don't focus. I think in the movie trailer they kind of focus on the thing called, like, the culling.
Oh, okay, but
that's a scene. It's not.
So it's like a full-on different world from ours.
Yeah, it's basically. Yeah. It's basically, this family has taken over a town or the world or whatever in some authoritarian thing, and they kill the enemies of the family once a year or whatever in some purge, culling kind of thing, and chaos ensues from there. So, it was... It had the guy from District 9 in it. He's a fantastic actor in virtually anything he does. Bill Skarsgård, fantastic. Yeah, I just thought it was fun. It was just a fun, ridiculous... It reminded me very much of, like, the fun that I had watching the movie Mayhem.
Right.
With Samara Weaving and Stephen Yeun.
Yep.
It was that kind of fun. It was just a fun, nonsensical... John Benjamin is the voice of Bill Skarsgård's character because that's basically because he got it. The kid got his ears burnt, so he can't hear, and his tongue cut out, so he can't talk.
Dude,
so much time in the story that he says, like, so much time has passed. I've forgotten what I sound like. So I gave myself a voice that was recognizable, and it was this video game that they played. This like Street Fighter video game that they played, arcade game, and that was like the announcer's voice. But I can't not hear Bob's Burgers.
Oh, absolutely.
Like John is Bob.
Yeah.
And no matter how you slice it, his voice is so distinct that whatever he does, you hear Bob's Burgers. The comedy was fantastic. It's a good movie. I would definitely recommend anybody watch it. Yep.
I'm looking.
And it's not so cinematic that if you missed it in theaters, you'd be missing if you waited to streaming and just watched it at home, you'd be fine. Anyway, I've interrupted you like 4 times, so what are you gonna say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just saying it sounded good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the problem with us being on video. Like I don't know. I first don't know when to stop talking. Let's be honest with ourselves. Okay. I'm just gonna say that as a personal flaw for myself. You know, I don't know when to stop.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Something like that. Have you seen the Pope's Exorcist yet?
No.
Steve,
you gave me several like unofficial assignments this past week.
Did you do any of them?
Yes, I watched Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Kind of wish I hadn't.
Of course.
Boy, that was something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I finished it this morning, and boy, it doesn't hold up well. I'll put it that way. But
you don't say.
The amount of times I thought this is so problematic.
Yeah.
So it came out in 2000, and it's been, I don't want to say this, but I have to say it because out loud, but that's been 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Zach. 24 years. That's a long time.
A lot has changed.
A lot has changed in the culture and in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that you shouldn't say and things that you shouldn't do that the culture now just does not look kindly on those things.
Right.
So it goes. But the movie is like every 5 minutes there's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think had I watched it back in the day, and had I think I would have thought it was pretty good. I mean, there were funny bits. It was definitely a Wayans brothers thing, right?
Yeah.
Very over the top, just and raunchy and all the things.
The things. Yeah. Yeah.
It was definitely a cultural experience. I'll put it that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was something else. I think that's the only one. I didn't do any of the other optional assignments. You told me not to watch the Resident Evil, so I didn't.
Good.
But I did watch a couple of the movies. If you would indulge me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll just run through those really quick. Watch The Gift. You seen that?
The Gift. It doesn't ring a bell.
It has Jason Bateman, Rebecca Hall. Like they moved to a new place, and this guy, like from when he went to high school with, starts giving him gifts.
No, okay, I thought about watching this. I should put it on my watch list because
it's very good.
I'm gonna put it on my watch list now.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's a thriller for sure, but it's creepy as heck. I mean, assuming heck is creepy. I watched Terrified on Shudder, which was, it was okay. I probably, if I like it, no, okay. And I'm looking at some of the pictures. It was pretty darn creepy. It was good though. And then get your beeper ready. I watched a movie called Bitch Ass.
We talked about that the last time.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, and it's okay. It's not that great. It was kind of fun, but
it's hard for me to believe that title doesn't translate to Oscar-worthy performances.
What you right? It's surprising. It is surprising.
I would think it'd be one of the funniest things if
I think you would enjoy it more than I did.
No, I'm talking about I can imagine the Oscars, the actual Oscars. And you make this actually really good movie, groundbreaking, blah, 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 whatever. And they got to say, they got to get up there and be like, and the nominees are, and the winner is. And man, that'd be real funny. Just Leo DiCaprio sitting right there in the seat. He don't get up. He's not going to be in this movie. Nick Cage is probably in the movie, though. It definitely sounds like a Nick Cage kind of movie.
Well, it starts out with the guy who plays the original Tony Todd, the original Candyman.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the narrator, sort of.
Yeah, Titus Dark.
Yes.
That's who he plays.
Titus Dark.
D-A-R-Q.
Yeah. And so it's a movie about it, like this. It's a mostly black cast. I think all actually. I think of it, and it's about a guy who bullied his entire life, kind of abused by his grandma who raised him, and he turns into kind of a serial killer, and starts killing the people who bullied him.
So he turns into it. Okay. What? I thought he was a superhero.
See, it starts out like the very first line. It's like the guy, Tony Todd, he's talking about the movie. He says, this is a story about the first serial killer who wore a mask. First black serial killer who wore a mask. That's like kind of oddly specific.
Yeah.
But it was okay. And I watched Death Becomes Her, which we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And saw a movie called Bloody Hell. Very highly recommended. That was a good movie. It was very
2020.
Yep, very much along the lines of, it's kind of like Mayhem, kind of like Guns Akimbo, that kind of thing.
Got it. It's just a wild shoot 'em up.
Well, a guy. He goes to. The premise is he goes to Finland, and he gets kidnapped by a family who plans to eat him one piece at a time, and he has to get out.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I saw Abigail, which is fantastic, and I watched the Fear Street trilogy again. Fantastic. Yeah. I always forget how good that is. And on the lighter side, I watched The Valet with Samara Weaving in it. That is just a fun little rom-com. Fun little romp.
All right.
It is. Long for a rom-com. It's like 2 hours and 4 minutes or something. Mm. But it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Kind of reminded me of Notting Hill. Have you ever seen Notting Hill?
Nope.
Fan-freaking-tastic movie.
Okay.
You and your wife should watch Notting Hill. It's sweet and lovely. Chicks dig Grey. Finished Shogun on Hulu.
How's that?
So good, dude.
So good.
Okay.
I'll have to put it on my list now.
The Lair of the White Worm.
What?
From 1989.
The Lair of the White Worm is a movie?
Yes. It's considered a shining example of folk horror with a bit of comedy in it from the British lands. It's got Hugh Grant, Peter Capaldi.
Okay, Steve, I have to read you the top 2 comments on Letterboxd. Okay. The first comment says, "This is what we call a penis movie." And the second one says, "Oh, such beautiful natural landscapes of England nun rape orgy unholy visions Roman cock serpent Jesus fever dream." So I'm not too sure how those two comments relate to this movie, as you're the only one who has seen it so far. But if that is any indication of what this movie is, I might pass.
The next one says this movie is effing insane in all the right ways. Hugh Grant wields a giant sword. There are phallic symbols in every scene. Silliest dream sequences you can imagine. Yeah.
Unbelievably horny and deranged is one of the comments.
So, okay.
So, how true are any of these comments?
So I didn't realize I'm not, I don't know. I don't go in looking for phallic symbols, but
who does? Who's going into a movie going, when am I going to see a wiener?
Well, I don't remember seeing any actual wieners, but there, you know what? We're kind of trying to keep this a little bit clean. So
okay. So I feel like we're past the point of no return at this point.
Okay. So it's about a serpent woman, sort of. The lair of the white worm. It's like this. It's a play off of a ancient tale in the English hill lands or whatever of a white serpent that lives underground. Anyway, in this woman is part serpent or something. She's awakened, and she goes killing. She's like killing people, and she, like near the end of the movie, for no really explained reason, she puts this what can best be described as a strap on.
That's
herself.
The best way to describe it.
That's approximately 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet long. And like really about as big around as like a beer can, and it's like made of ivory, and it's a pointed one, and it's just to impale people on. So,
all right. Well, we should just cut all this out. Then we should just cut. Don't go see this movie.
I'm realizing that I blocked some of this stuff out.
I think you just saw comedy horror, and you're like, oh yeah, this would be great.
Yeah, maybe don't watch it. I thought it was funny. But
it might have been funny. What was funny was me reading those reactions and watching you react to them. Like, yeah.
See, I'm a good boy. I'm a good kid. I don't. When these things like come in my, I flood. It's just they go past me. I don't soak them in.
That means that you're desensitized because you don't blush anymore.
Oh, maybe, okay. Is that a good thing?
I don't know, man.
Then I saw Tragedy Girls, which was actually pretty good. No phallic symbols, no wieners in that.
Okay. That's the test anymore. We're just like, this doesn't have a wiener. Good movie.
It's about a couple high school friends who are basically psychopaths, and they want to become famous, and there's not enough murders going on around for their podcast, so they start killing people. Then I watched about half of the movie Deathgasm. Steve,
these movies that you're watching.
No, but there were no wieners in it. I mean, it was just bad. It's like this doom metal band accidentally played this song that like turned everybody into like zombies or something, and it went nowhere. Then I watched the movie Knights of Badassdom.
Okay,
which was that was pretty fun. That was a fun movie. It had Peter Dinklage played Hung the Magnificent.
Oh my gosh. No, that's not real.
Summer Glau. Do you know who she is? Did you watch Firefly?
No.
Okay, she played Serenity. Anyway, if you know, you know. She played. She was in there. Steve Zahn was in it, and then Ryan Quanten. No, was in it. Jimmy Simpson. He's been in a lot of stuff. Anyway, and also Danny Pudi from Community.
Oh my gosh.
It's about some LARPers who accidentally summon a real demon, like a succubus, and they're all out there like doing their LARPing thing, and they don't realize it's real. And Peter Dinklage is pretty fantastic in this. It's pretty good. Stupid and fun. And then I watched Scary Movie.
Well, it sounds like you had a very eventful couple of weeks.
It sounds like I'm running out of movies to watch.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
It sounds what happened is I got on a weird. I don't know what I watched on Prime, but I watched something, and then it's like, you people have also watched this movie, and I made the mistake of clicking on it, and I watched the movie, and then it said this movie too, and so I clicked on that one. I may need a different hobby. I don't know.
Yeah, you may just be you're either easily suckered into things, you have a hard time saying no, or you're just real bored. And you're just like, yep, next. Weird thing, next.
I'm trying to find something that to make you watch.
Well, I can tell you right now, out of all of the movies that you just said, I could possibly watch the Knights movie, but every other one of them, I'm going to take a hard pass on.
Tragedy Girls, even?
I forgot about that one. I don't know enough about it to say yes, but I know enough about the other movies to say, heck no.
I think you would like Bloody Hell, and I think you would like the Tragedy Girls and the Knights one.
Well, I'm not going to watch the Worm movie.
Yeah. Well,
I probably won't watch that one.
That's probably a good choice.
I probably won't watch. I mean, I think I'm going to skip that one. It's just a personal preference. You do whatever you want to do as a person, as a listener, or whatever. But I'm out. I'm gonna be out for
it's one of those things that I probably, I'm like, but anyway. Yeah, well, I came across it because I watched a documentary on Shudder, and this documentary was called Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, a history of folk horror. And it's 192 minutes long, which that's long for a movie.
Okay.
It's like a complete history of folk horror from in Britain all the way from like the very first movies through it has a section on witches and one on like movies like The Wicker Man, and then it talks about movies in the UK and the US and other parts of the world. It's really, really interesting. I recommend actually that to anybody. But I watched that a while back, and they mentioned Lair of the White Worm, and it's been on my list for a long time, but they didn't tell me about the impaling.
Conveniently left that one out, huh?
Yeah.
Sometimes there are crucial details that just seemingly apparently go overlooked, and that's one of them.
Anyway, that's done. I'm done. I'm not going to talk about any more weird, bizarre things.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're not entirely done yet.
So for your discussion of men.
Look at your phone.
My phone? Okay. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I've got to.
So I took a screenshot back when I watched John Dies at the End.
Oh, dude. Remind me of that.
My first inkling so this is in the basement.
Yep.
Okay, of John Dies at the End. Basically it's the opening scene. It's where the dude, like the ghost, haunts all of the meat and whatnot. They're trying to escape the basement. One of them, I forget who, goes up to the door to get out of the basement. Mm-hmm. And the basement door handle turns into a wiener. And I stopped it and took a screenshot. And I meant to talk to you about this. because I was like, Steve, you're making me watch a bunch of these movies. It's too many. It's too many wieners, bud. Like, it's too many. And then since then, like, I mean, what was that was last week?
Yeah.
So Under the Skin, Under the Skin had
wieners.
Killing of the Sacred Deer did not ish, maybe.
I don't think it did.
Well, I mean, at one point, Colin Farrell is sitting in like the chair beside his bed, completely naked, and you're like, well, yeah. And Under the Skin had wieners. John dies at the end. Wieners. Men. Wieners. And I want it to stop. I need a break.
I'm so sorry.
I have issues with the amount of wieners. There's just a threshold.
Yeah.
It's really all it is. And I'm imploring, just on behalf of my tainted eyes, that I maybe have to go get baptized again. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know how many Hail Marys I gotta say, but
well, I mean,
it's Steve's fault. He broke the plate. I tried to stop him. Is really that's the end of the. That's it. That's a sick VeggieTales reference on my behalf. So slam dunk with that one. But still, I'm just saying.
Let's be fair. Like, most horror movies have a boob shot someplace, right?
Yeah, I never really understood the idea behind that. Like, what?
I think it seems to have started in like the 80s with slasher movies. It's almost like
even then, I don't
so you can
understand.
show boobs, so might as well show them. Then you're going to get the horny teenage kids in there to see the boobs, and that's just going to sell more tickets.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I understand.
So I'm just trying to balance that out with. No, actually, I'm not even trying. It's just unfortunate coincidence.
It's just accidentally have the amount. Yeah. So, I mean, just, I feel like at this point, I just need to start like a count. Just like a tally of all of the movies, and then all of the how many wieners a week you're letting me view, and I'm like,
I promise we will minimize the wieners. I will do my best.
I'm also realizing just specifically how long we've been talking about completely bizarre things. Just how, I mean, if I'm a listener at this point.
Yeah.
Are you still listening? That's my
why
question.
People tune in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I figured I'd finally share that picture. I'm going to delete it off my phone now. Because
100%.
I don't necessarily want it to be there. If I had access to your phone, I would make it your wallpaper in the background. So when you open up your phone, boom, you saw it. It'd be really funny. Sick prank. You could pass that on to any of your coworkers, but not the ones who are listening now. Because Steve doesn't do any of that kind of stuff at work. Ha ha. So this week, I only tallied the movies that I watched this week because I completely forgot to write them down from last time. And I have a bad habit of not going to Letterboxd. I completely forget that app exists so often.
Really?
So often.
I'm kind of obsessive about writing it down.
I will go to it to reference movies, but logging movies, I rarely do that.
You got to do that, buddy.
Yeah, I just logged that I saw Boy Kills World.
Okay.
Like just now, but I saw the movie this morning. Like I'm not thinking about any of that kind of stuff. It took me like a couple days to log Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
So, but anyway, so I I finished the Fallout series on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah. So did we. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
I really like that series. Yeah, I would actually like rewatch it. I'd give it some time and then rewatch it. It's pretty good.
Yep.
I talked about last time how I went to see Civil War, so I don't know why that's down here again. I saw Boy Kills World. I saw that today. Yesterday, I was texting you about this. I started to watch the movie Knock Knock. It's been on my list for a while to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's Keanu Reeves and I don't know anybody else in the movie.
What'd you think?
Well,
Is it a horror movie?
I think so. I didn't get. It's directed by Eli Roth, which
Okay.
I my view is tainted of Eli just because of Hostel and the Green Inferno and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't watch his stuff. Thanksgiving was good, and that was directed by Eli. And so this movie was directed by Eli. It was boring. Okay, I'm just gonna flat out say it. It was boring. I only watched like the first half of this movie, and it was so I had to really sit there and sit on my hands and be like, Zach, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. Because I wanted to stop it so often.
Really?
Yeah, his family goes on vacation. These girls are looking for a house. They stop by his house and basically set up camp. And they're playing this. They're freaking being predators is what they're doing.
Really?
And it just made me uncomfortable. And which is probably the thing that they want.
Yep.
But like the vibe that they're maybe going for. But I don't know. I didn't get into any horror-esque stuff. I have no clue if I'll watch it again, but I was just bored. I didn't know if it was the movie or whether it was me. Cause like I text you, like I couldn't find anything. I was just, I was bored. And so I think because I was already bored outside of those movies, I wanted something to keep my entertainment. I wanted something to keep my attention, and I didn't find it. And so I watched that. I started to watch the Poughkeepsie tapes. That did not keep my attention. So I'll probably revisit Knock Knock, and I'll probably revisit the Poughkeepsie tapes like at some point when I don't feel.
So it was like a mood, a vibe you were in.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what mood I was in. I was just bored, and I didn't really know why. But and then I also watched Men. I thought about watching it a second time, but I decided not to torture myself. And so yeah, I think that's. I mean, we finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine again.
Oh, wow.
Well, I shouldn't say again. We finished it for the first time.
Right.
And I also finally watched season 7 and season 8. And I hated it.
Just because it was the end?
It took me 2 days to finally watch the last 2 episodes of this series. Because I just kept putting it off. Casey was like, hey, what do you want to watch? Let's watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I was like, no, let's watch Golden Girls and something else. Let's do anything else. I don't want this to end. I'm protesting.
Aw, that's kind of cute.
I hated it. It's such a good show. Like,
it's really good. Really good.
And then I didn't necessarily like the ending, but that's only because I didn't want the show to end. So yeah, I mean, I've watched a bunch of stuff, a bunch of TV shows and things like that. And now that Fallout's done, I need to get back to watching season 4 of True Detective.
Right.
And then prepare for The Boys, which is coming up,
Right.
So there was a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
First, I saw an article about Terrifier fans pining for Art the Clown popcorn bucket. And I just at least wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Because popcorn buckets apparently are having a moment.
Right. Since the Doom, did the
since
Doom thing?
since basically the Dune popcorn bucket, right? And then apparently Deadpool is going to be getting Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be getting a Deadpool inspired popcorn bucket that will liken or rival the Dune popcorn bucket.
Well, I noticed that the recent Ghostbusters movie had a Slimer bucket, at least at where I went.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get one of those. Thanks for bringing that up again.
I actively avoided getting one.
I really wanted a Slimer popcorn bucket.
Oh, really?
I thought that'd be great. Yeah. I didn't get to
that.
the theater in time though. That was my problem.
Oh.
I don't understand. But also, if we're gonna go down this road of like these weird popcorn buckets, I think we should just go all out. Like every movie should just get one.
Sure.
Every movie should just get at least every major movie. Like I want a Pooniverse popcorn bucket.
Just the word.
That's why I said it. Like that's the example. Like I want a Pooniverse one. You know, Winnie the Pooh, because you could do like Winnie the Pooh honey jar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead of like honey that looks like it's pouring out over the edges, it's red, right?
Right.
Yeah, come on. And like there's scratch marks on it, maybe. Come on. Also, if you come up with that idea and you're out there, my name is Zach. This is Horrors Yet Unseen. I want freaking credit for it, okay? Yeah, I think we should just do that. I think it'd be fun if you just 3D printed your own popcorn bucket to the movie. Ask them to fill it up. Invisible Man 2 is happening. Like,
let me guess, is the guy invisible still?
That's exactly what I wrote down. Like, look, everyone, I'm still invisible. Why? Emily Moss posted or something that they were like really close on the script. And I was like, why? Why is this movie getting a sequel? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, I think you wanted to talk about the movie The Exorcism with Russell Crowe. I wanted to give you a platform to discuss your feelings about the newest Russell Crowe movie, The Exorcist, which surprisingly is different from the Pope's Exorcist.
Right.
But not too dissimilar from every other exorcism movie out there.
That's the thing. I mean, I haven't seen like you said, I haven't seen the Pope Cinema yet and or Exorcist yet. And you mentioned it was going to be like a trilogy, and I saw this trailer. I'm like, oh, they already have the next of the trilogy out.
Uh-huh.
And I started watching it, and it's basically he's the guy playing the priest in an exorcism movie. But twist, big twist. That they gave away already. There's actually like real possessions going on at this place, and but he's not really a priest. He's just a dude.
Yeah, he's just an actor.
Yeah, and what is going on with Russell Crowe? It's just dude, stop with the exorcism movies.
Can you name one good Russell Crowe movie that's happened since Gladiator?
No.
Okay, I'm not saying that there isn't one. I'm asking, does anything come to your mind when I say Russell Crowe movies post? Like, can you name one?
Les Miserables was good. He sucked in it, though.
Well, then that's not a good movie. Because I'm talking about his performances. Like, him as a main character in this movie. Because he's the main character in Gladiator.
Yep. I don't.
So...
I honestly, I usually actively avoid his movies. I just don't like him.
Yeah, well,
nothing personal, Russell, but I don't want you on the podcast.
We do, however, want Justin Long and Nicolas Cage. So if you're listening,
right,
and we know that you are, we know that you guys are. Hey, what's up? I'm Zach. That's Steve, and you already know that probably. And so, be on our podcast. I think it'd be real swell, you know, but like also no pressure, no pressure.
You can tell there's no pressure because you said press, which is like less than pressure. So.
That's what I'm saying. There's just no pressure. It's super cash, but also, you know, TikTok. Let's go. What else,
Oh,
Steve?
I went down a rabbit hole. I occasionally get obsessed with Hereditary and or Midsummer, and
Okay.
like learning about how they're made and stuff. I listened to an interview with Ari Aster about Hereditary, and he said that when he was making the movie, he forgot he was making a horror movie. I'm like, you mean you came out with one of the objectively best horror movies in a long time
Mm-hmm.
that has changed a lot of people's direction on horror, and you kind of forgot you were making a horror movie?
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that, and I could see what he means, because he said what he did is he focused on the relationships and the trauma, and he let the horror kind of grow out of the trauma. And when he was
Right.
shopping the idea around, when getting funding, he didn't say, "Hey, this is a horror movie." He said, "This is a tragedy, a family tragedy movie," because he said if he went for a horror movie, that he wouldn't have gotten the funding. Yeah, I thought that was interesting information, which kind of makes sense, because maybe that's why it's so good. One reason it's so good, because he didn't go into it trying to manufacture scares.
Right.
He went into it trying to make just a good freaking movie, you know? And he did. That happens
Mm-hmm.
to be scary.
Right.
So
Yeah. The subject material alone is horrific. Like the way that it pans out is horrific. That he leaves breadcrumbs from the very beginning of the movie, from the very obit at the very beginning of the movie. First breadcrumb. And then
right.
from there, yeah. It's a good story regardless of whether of it being in the movie or in movie form. It's a good story. It's already a good story. But yeah, I think that's probably a really good thing that people should start doing. Is like if you have a good script, you should just let the story kind of speak for itself.
Yep. And I think that's one thing that a lot of horror movies miss, is they just go in there trying to either be gross or like Terrifier, or try to be scary or whatever. And let's start with a good story, good dialogue and
Right.
stuff, and then go from there.
Speaking of that was the O. Speaking of good story, I started to watch the movie. I just now remember this. I started to watch Night Swim.
Yeah,
That don't watch that movie.
I
I
didn't
think
plan on it.
I think Peacock should just take it off their service.
Really?
Stop. Just throw that movie in the garbage. Just throw that movie in the garbage because it's not the acting. There are good actors in that movie. The story is terrible.
Really?
The story is just terrible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it is the complete opposite of what we were just talking about with Hereditary.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good story, regardless of that, whatever genre you're making, let the story unfold. So Ari didn't start out making a horror movie. He let the horror kind of just happen. Here's another example where this movie really should not have been made. It's a completely pointless. It doesn't add anything. None of this, like all of the scares are completely manufactured jump scares.
It's bad.
I got so bored that I watched a movie that I didn't want to watch.
Blumhouse just hasn't been doing it lately.
What's crazy is that Blumhouse, I get, we're human, we make mistakes, not every idea is good.
Right.
But because of the amount of money that goes into making a movie, why waste the money? That's my question.
Yeah.
Why? What was it about the pitch that sold you on going, yeah, what was it about this that Jason was like, yeah, let's greenlight this movie?
Yeah. I don't know.
And then at what point did, like, how many green lights happened?
Right.
Because checks were just written like crazy for this stupid movie. And it's just bad. And there's no substance to it. It's just, how are we making B movies today?
The budget was $15 million on that.
How are we making B movies? I don't understand. I mean, a couple weeks ago, you were like, I feel like every movie that I'm seeing is just, I'm giving a 5-star rating to. That's because some movies are really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's what should happen. At some point, we should perfect the filmmaking experience to the point where we're not making movies like this. But anyway, we'll just get off the soapbox.
Well, on the positive side, there are 2 new Evil Dead movies in the works.
Right, I did see that.
Saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a direct sequel to Army of Darkness though.
That'd be good.
That's exactly like, I want a direct sequel. Army of Darkness.
Dang, Night Swim made a worldwide box office of $54 million on a budget of 15.
Well, the reviews
That's
are
insane.
in, and I've not seen or heard anybody that has said 5 stars. And if you have, call into the podcast and explain to us what's up. Anyway, we should probably talk about the movies that we're here to talk about today.
Oh yeah,
right. So, Steve, I assigned you Death Becomes Her from 1992.
You did. Would you like to hear what I think about it?
I would love it.
All right. Buckle up. Not really.
Okay.
This movie is from 1992. Death Becomes Her. It has famous people in it that,
okay,
that we've seen and loved before, like Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, Isabella Rossellini, and other people that I've never heard of. Not that they're less important, or they're still people that are they're valuable.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that.
Yeah, we're not taking away from their humanity, but also we just don't know them.
Yeah, and we don't really care.
Okay.
So the Rotten Tomatoes were 55 and on an audience score of 61, which is technically a stinker it's a rotten one.
Are those green buckets?
Yeah, 55 is a stinker, so it's like 60 is the borderline, I think.
Got it.
So 61, it's a positive score from people, and because critics really aren't people.
Yeah.
And then IMDb was 6.6 out of 10, and Metacritic 56. So about a mid. Yeah, fine. This, however, is an Oscar-winning movie. Did you know that?
I actually did not.
It won the Oscar for visual effects.
Okay.
And it makes sense because it was actually pretty darn good for 1992. The head twisted backwards Meryl Streep thing and the giant hole through Goldie Hawn's stomach when she got shot. They're both it's very seamless stuff. I mean, I'm very impressed myself for the 1992 digital effects of that. It was pretty good. Anyway, the movie kind of, I would say, it's wonderfully feminist because it's mostly a female cast. Bruce Willis is there, but he's just kind of like the bumbling dork of a husband.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is totally campy and totally goofy.
Yep.
And it answers the question, why do so many people in Hollywood never age? Well, because naked Isabella Rossellini gives them potions.
Right.
And I don't think it's not, I guess she probably doesn't have to be naked for that purpose, but she seems to like to be in the movie. Anyway, Robert Zemeckis directed this thing, the Back to the Future guy. Music by Alan Silvestri. I mean, everything about this movie is top notch, like on paper.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. It's stupid, but it going into it pretty like right off the bat that it's on purpose stupid. And I think these three actors do very well at making it clear that they're at being campy, but not dumb. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there are a lot of movies that are trying to be campy, especially in the horror genre. They try to be campy, but they end up just seeming dumb, and it's kind of annoying. But when you get, it feels like if you have really good actors like Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis, you can give them something campy, and they can be campy, but not be dumb at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So I thought that they did a good job with that aspect of it. And fun fact: we are recording this on the 27th. The Death Becomes Her musical premieres 3 days from now.
What?
Yeah. There's like a website for it and everything. It's a Broadway musical premieres on the 30th. I have a lot of feelings about musicals that have been made from movies. That was a movie first that was turned into a musical. Tends to have, I don't know, the songs tend to not be very good. They tend to be more expository and stuff because there's a lot of words that you got to turn into a song. But because if you have a musical, the musical, the songs come first. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean the storyline is Meryl Streep's kind of like this old, sort of they treat her like this old person, and she's 43.
Yeah.
43, and she's old and washed up in Hollywood, which I thought was the movie's clearly trying to make a point. Right. Just because you're old doesn't mean, 43 is, first of all, that's not old. Excuse me. I am older than that, and I'm not old. But she's getting really paranoid about her looks, and Bruce Willis is actually his character, Ernest. I think he's engaged to Goldie Hawn's character Helen, and Helen and Madeline are old friends. They go to see her to play, and Bruce Willis ends up marrying Meryl Streep, and Goldie Hawn's character gets depressed, gains like 100 pounds, and then ends up in a psych ward, obsessed with Madeline. When she realizes that she has this idea that she's going to kill Madeline, and that gives her enough drive she loses all this weight and gets healthy and comes back to seduce Ernest. And there's like this whole thing going on, and Meryl Streep's character, Madeline, she starts getting worried that she's too old again. She goes to the plastic surgeon to like get a tune-up or something, and he gives her this name for this woman, and who ends up being the Isabella Rossellini character, who gives her a potion, and she becomes basically immortal. Like she can't die, and her body is going to stay like it was, and she gets healthier. Anyway, it turns out Goldie Hawn had the same thing, and so they try to kill each other, and they can't. And then they're like, "Well, I guess we're going to be friends now." And they try to get Bruce Willis's character to take the potion as well, because he's a plastic surgeon, and they're like, "We need him to keep us looking good for the rest of eternity." But he refuses, and at the end of the movie, like it jumps 37 years ahead, when Bruce Willis, Ernest, has died, with children and stuff and grandchildren, and they are still kicking and still the same age, but their bodies are like falling apart, and they leave the funeral and fall down the stairs. And by the way, every time anybody falls down the stairs in this movie, it's hilarious, because it's like they fell down like 3 steps, and they fall like the fall looks like they've fallen down like because they keep like looking at it from different angles, and so it falls a bunch. And Meryl Streep falls down the stairs at one point, and it's like she falls down like 300 flights of stairs, and it's just one flight of stairs. Anyway, they hit the ground, and their bodies just like shatter into pieces. It's completely ridiculous, but it's fun. It's a kind of a good. It's a good party movie, right? I mean,
right.
like a good Halloween party movie. You can kind of put it on, and you don't have to pay attention to it too much. And yeah, it's a safe movie. It's very much a mainstream Hollywood horror comedy sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun. I'd probably give it a like 3.5 stars.
3.5 stars. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to see? Because I know that I would. Would you like to see this movie remade?
I don't know. Why would you want to see it remade? What do you think would be the value of that?
So, I would hope that in the right hands, remaking this movie would, I don't know.
Does it need updated for the times, or?
It does. I mean, as far as the culture is concerned, no. But CG is just advanced. I don't know. I mean, it's a decent movie.
Yeah.
And I think that it could be remade. If they're making a Broadway musical out of it, like clearly there is something to it. So why not?
I mean, lots of people like it. So I don't know.
I don't know. I just think why not? Why not remake it? Out of all of the they're remaking Twister.
Don't remind me, man.
Okay, sorry. Well, that's my only other example. I don't have another example. I don't know. I think that this could be remade. Just be fun. I think it could just be fun.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but
it's not necessary to remake it, but also it fits in line with all of the other unnecessary remakes. So that's why I said just why not?
You want to hear something? You want to hear some positive news?
Here we go.
Headline from 2022, so I'm not sure, what's going on now, but Death Becomes Her. Jessica Chastain says she's spoken to Anne Hathaway about possibly remaking the 1992 film.
See, there we go.
I could see. So, okay, Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway. I could see those two doing this film justice.
Yeah.
Now that
you give it to the right writers, right. You give it to the right director and the right studio.
Yep.
And then you have Jessica Chastain. I think that Jessica Chastain could play
Madeline.
I don't know. I think that she could play Goldie Hawn's character.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Helen.
I see Anne Hathaway as playing
okay.
Meryl Streep's character.
Yeah.
But you could mix and match, really, the two of those. Now, I don't know who you would cast as the Bruce Willis of that movie.
That's a good question.
I don't know who you'd cast as the Bruce Willis of that movie.
See,
my mind is completely blank for any male actor.
I'm looking at there's Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. could definitely.
Yeah.
Huh.
So now this other thing, this Instagram story from 2023. Apparently now it's Kate Hudson, which is Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Right.
Kate Hudson and Hathaway.
Still really good.
And possibly Robert Downey Jr. And Lady Gaga really playing the role of the Isabel Rossellini's character.
Who?
Lady Gaga.
Oh, see, I'm in now.
Yeah.
I'm in with that
Give
cast.
It to me.
I'm in.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's not necessary, but rarely is a remake necessary.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I can't think of one that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. That doesn't mean that there isn't. It just means I can't think of one right now. That should be a bonus episode. We should talk about the value of remakes.
Yeah, Yeah,
And are there good remakes that add to, and what do they add? And then we should talk about just bad remakes.
Yeah, I found that story, by the way, on the Instagram account, The Horror Gallery. They got like 1.2 million followers. So lots of cool stuff on there.
Well, shout out the Horror Gallery.
Sure, yeah.
So 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, fun. It's maybe not my thing, but not enough wieners and long shots of the English countryside, I guess.
Yeah. I gotta really see. I'm giving you just those types of movies. They're just fun. They're somewhat lighthearted. Nothing necessarily major. You, on the other hand, have chosen a very different path. It's more demented. It's more sick.
Yeah.
And it's also full of male genitalia. And
that's accidental, that part.
I am almost positive that you're lying to me right now about that being an accident. Okay, I'm just saying. Do I trust that you're telling the truth? No, I don't. I think it was purposeful. I think it was intentional. I think you lined him up. Boom, boom, boom. You were like, you know what Zach needs in his life?
You keep talking like this. I'm gonna line him up.
Say it to my face. Listen, Steve. Out of the movies that I've seen so far that you've recommended, it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. I've seen some real stinkers. Just some real stinkers. It would be refreshing for me to like one of the movies that you give me.
Let me tell you about this movie called Lair of the White Worm.
I don't ever want to see that. This is the last time we're talking about that movie on this podcast. It's moratorium on the Lair of the White Worm.
While we were talking, I've separated out my lists for Zach, for Zach, and then for Zach Weird. So I'm trying to pulling out some of the weird ones, so I'm not traumatizing you too badly. So.
Yeah, can I just watch a normal one? Just a normal.
Yeah. What do you consider normal?
Just one that like everyone likes, instead of just like freaking weirdos.
Yeah, sure.
Can I just get that one? Just one that's just a normal one. How like everyone likes Hereditary? That's a decent one. That's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how no one likes the movie Men? Do you know how no one has anything positive to say about Under the Skin? I don't want to watch that.
Let's move on to talk about your movie, which is... I've been waiting for 2 weeks for this, Zach.
Yeah.
So take it away, Zach.
Here we go. Okay, so Steve assigned me the 2022 feminist rant that is the movie Men. I'm just kidding about that's just a joke, people. It's just a joke. Don't kill me, cancel me, whatever. Okay, so this movie has 3 people in this whole movie.
Pretty much.
There are 3 people in this whole movie.
Well, 4 if you count the lady cop.
Yeah, you could count her as a 4th person. And I also don't know if the other people in this movie that had the face overlaid on top of their face are separate actors and they just have like an overlay.
Yeah, there was just one person with overlay. Just like Kid.
No. There's the priest. There's the whole bar scene.
They're all the actual guy. They're not overlays. They actually filmed him in all the different costumes and all the different makekeup and everything.
Okay, so then 4 total cast members. No, 5 because of her friend.
Her friend, right.
We just keep adding. No, 6. I don't know. This movie has a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, 39% audience score though.
Yeah.
So everybody's with me. 2.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd, 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. This movie stars Jessie Buckley as Harper and Rory Kinnear. I think that's how you say his last name. Rory Kinnear as Jeffrey. And
everybody else.
Everyone else. Which is, if I'm going to give it its flowers, that's really clever. Rory does a fantastic job.
He does.
I mean, a fantastic job in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The IMDb synopsis leaves little bit to be desired, though. IMDb says a young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband. That's not at all what happens in this movie.
Well, that does
leaves,
happen.
No, Steve, it leaves out so much.
Well, so that what is described does happen.
Yes.
But
yes.
It's not a synopsis.
If you're going into this movie reading that synopsis and you're like, oh, well, I would like to see that then, you will be ruined by the end of this movie.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay. That's why I say,
Sorry.
That's why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
It's so, Letterboxd does a better job. In the aftermath of a personal tragedy, Harper retreats alone to the beautiful English countryside, hoping to find a place to heal. But someone or something from the surrounding woods appears to be stalking her. What begins as simmering dread becomes a fully formed nightmare inhabited by her darkest memories and fears. That way better of a description.
Yep. Who's in charge of these things?
I don't have a clue. I would assume that some studio executive is in charge of some sort of IMDb thing. Letterboxd seems to be more audience based.
Yep.
I don't know that.
Right.
So here's my synopsis of this movie.
Okay.
I've not read this out loud since I wrote it like 2 weeks ago. So I'm also bracing myself for what I read. Or what I wrote. Sorry. Here we go. The story follows Harper Marlowe, a recently widowed woman. Her husband, James, has been physically and mentally abusive and manipulative. Harper is not only suffering from the loss of her marriage, but also suffering from James's suicide. I think it's kind of left a little ambiguous about his death. At one point, Harper says that James worked his way into the apartment above them and was climbing down. She's talking to the vicar at this point when she says this. He climbed his way down, but either slipped on the ledge or purposefully jumped. You find out early on, they're having some marital issues. She wants to leave. He says, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. Real stand-up kind of guy. Yep. And just the height of manipulation. And then you assume, because you see him fall, you're like, oh, he must have actually killed himself.
Well,
but
they got in a fight and he hits her.
Right. He falls from above her. In the scene, he falls from above her, and you're like, how did he fall from above her? I don't understand. You find out later that he hit her, and she kicked him out of the apartment. Right. He apparently then went upstairs, worked his way into that apartment, or forced his way into that apartment probably, to try to come down the balcony, and either slipped or actually killed himself. So, but you don't see what he did. You only see him from inside the apartment, from her vantage point, fall. So you don't really know whether he slipped or not. She travels to the countryside to clear her head and put her pieces back together. She gets an Airbnb from a guy named Jeffrey. I don't know if it's an Airbnb, but let's be honest, I don't know how she got it. An odd man, but seemingly means no harm. On a walk in the woods, she stumbles across a naked man. I specifically point out that he's naked because Steve has now given me several movies with exposed wieners in them. And I'm not sure what's going on. I wrote that 2 weeks ago. So Clearly, the theme of this particular episode
Gender equality
is just genital. That's the theme of apparently. I think that's the theme of this episode. Things start to unravel when we start seeing Jeff's face on every male in the community. And by the way, it's surprising how many women are not in this movie. Everyone in this tiny little town is a dude, except for the police officer, but she doesn't necessarily live in that town.
Right. I mean, what's the name of the movie?
Men.
Yeah,
it's Men.
There you go. So there's lots of men in it.
Yeah, there's a ton of men in this movie, surprisingly. Harper seemingly doesn't realize that everyone looks like Jeff. It kind of bothered me at first. I was like, how does she not know? How does she not see this? The end of the movie culminates in one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. The man in the woods. I'm going to spoil this movie at the end of this movie. So if you don't want the spoiler, skip to whatever. I don't know. Skip to Maluma Darling. I don't have a clue. The man in the woods gives birth to another version of Jeffrey. And then that Jeff gives birth to another, and another, and another, and then finally gives birth to James. And then the movie's over.
And James dies again, right?
James, nope. James, they're sitting there on the couch, and he's like, "Are you gonna love me now?" And she just like exhaustingly sighs. And then the credits roll. So,
but doesn't she goes to the backyard and then her friend shows up?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so then yeah, she goes to the backyard, her friend shows up, and then the movie ends.
Okay, yeah.
But either way,
and her friend is weird. Pregnant.
Just a Russian nesting doll.
Yeah.
Situation we got with this birth scene.
Hmm.
So, okay. I don't even know where to keep going from here. That's my movie summary. That's the summary that I made up. So we'll go into some notes and observations.
Okay.
This movie, yesterday, my dear friend Steve recommended that to cure my boredom, I should watch some symbolism videos on YouTube to help me understand the movie Men a little bit better. So I did. I watched 2 of them. I was actually in the middle of watching one when you sent me the other one. And I think you meant it as a sarcastic comment, but I took it seriously and was like, hey.
No, I kind of thought, it would be good.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the fake critic on YouTube. He helped me understand.
That's great, yeah.
So I'm giving a shout out to him. I thought he did a pretty fantastic job explaining this movie.
Yeah.
And I realize why I don't like movies like this. Okay. And you mentioned it a while back. When you watch a Zach movie, you turn your brain off.
You want to be entertained.
And I've said it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I just want to be entertained. So, sure, there were aspects of this movie that were entertaining. Things really, even though they were a bit slow, the way that Alex tells this story it is entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It is creepy and weird and odd and disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the symbolism and metaphor that fell flat for me on first watch.
Okay.
So, for example, she gets to the Airbnb. I'm going to call it that because I don't really That's what it is, basically. I don't know how she finds it. I don't know how it's recommended to her.
It's irrelevant, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes... Well, I just don't know how she chose it. How did she choose Jeff?
I don't think
to
it
stay
matters.
At Jeff's place. I don't know. How does she know this particular place? She just ends up there. Like the next scene is her driving and pulling into the place.
Yep.
Which I get if you don't need to tell absolutely everything, but whatever. She goes out. There's an apple tree out front.
Right.
She goes and eats an apple. Apparently, Harper is supposed to be Eve from the book of Genesis, and eating the apple is this temptation thing. And I'm like, yeah, but also she's just kind of eating an apple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but there's metaphor there. It's meant to mean something. Alex wants it to mean something. It's not just her eating an apple. So if it's not, I don't know. Then just tell me. That's my issue with these movies, is that I shouldn't have to watch a YouTube video afterwards from somebody explaining all of the crap that I missed. And then you get to rewatch the movie in that light, in light of what you just learned. Either tell me then, in the freaking movie, what's happening.
Right.
I'll give you an example of this. Was there any metaphor in Death Becomes Her? Nope.
I don't think so. I mean,
because there doesn't need to be. It's just a
movie.
Some people,
I enjoy like trying to figure that out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like if there, okay, let's say you watch the movie Death Becomes Her. You find out that there is no metaphor, there is no symbolism.
Uh-huh.
Everything in the movie just is what you saw.
Right.
Are you disappointed?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah. But
if there is something more, I'm like, ooh, cool.
Right.
It's
okay. Fine.
I'm interested.
Yeah. I apparently am not that interested. Like,
yeah. You and I talked about this a while back, as far as like, you used to have that like drive to dig into things and the metaphor, like the religion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I'm done with that for a while. Just let me have some fun.
Right. I will say this, like,
and that's fine.
Unlike, and I've completely strayed away from my notes at this point. Unlike Under the Skin,
mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the countryside. Yeah. It's prettier.
The visuals in this movie are fantastic. It's a beautifully shot movie.
They are stunning. There is like a 12-minute scene when she goes for this walk.
Mm-hmm.
She leaves her house. She goes for this walk in the woods. She's discovering herself. And I picked up on that she needs to kind of break away, and she's been in an abusive relationship. She needs to figure out who she is. I completely understand that. This scene really, it captured that. You know, because there's this rain, and I immediately was just like, oh, like the rain is just kind of washing stuff away. She goes into the tunnel. She starts to do the echo, and she's finding her voice. She's playing around with the echoes and her voice and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a really beautiful scene.
Yeah, it is.
That is immediately ruined by
a man.
Exactly. So I picked up on that. But who the Green Man was, I have no clue. She goes into the church to have this cathartic experience, or maybe she doesn't go in there to have one. She just has one.
She does, yeah.
And they showed this little altar that has two symbols on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, well, those mean something. But I never Googled it. I never tried to figure out what do they mean and blah, blah, blah. So when I watched The Fake Critic on YouTube, like it helped me understand a little bit more. But because there was so much, like every little thing, there's the red hue in the apartment that means something. When she goes into the living room or the entryway of the cottage that she's staying at, the walls are painted red, and red means something. And I'm like, all of that's lost on me.
Yeah, I that's one reason I didn't like the Fake Critics video, because I feel like he went way too detailed and so. I mean, not everything means something, you know. And I think he
I
was even inaccurate on some of the stuff, but
he might have been. I don't know. All I know is like, I don't know. It makes me feel some kind of, and it might just simply be in it just inferior.
hmm.
I feel stupid that I
Oh.
missed all of this stuff, and I don't know.
I didn't get
I've
any
not
of that stuff.
I've not
what I
dug
what
into all the why I feel that particular way. You know,
see, what I got out of it is that kind of general stuff. I like and like, I don't know. You can go too far with the analyzation of movies, and I think a lot of these people on YouTube do, because they had to create content, right? What I got from the movie was that she sees everybody as like every man. She just sees them the same, because she's struggling with this problem with her husband of abuse and just being a horrible guy, and she's kind
mm-hmm.
of deconstructing her ideas of men. But they just all seem the same, no matter what their age or what they're doing. They're all creepy. She's dealing with crap from men all the time, and
Right,
so that's why they all look the same, even though they're not.
right,
But and the rebirth thing at the end, it's like men keep trying to change them, like they're trying to have types of men, new types of men, and then it's always the same thing, always the same thing. And she's just dealing with crap in life. And I didn't get the Green Man Sheila the Gig thing at all. So I saw a video. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but because I couldn't figure out what the heck there was this guy with the sticking leaves and stuff into his skin, I didn't make any sense to me.
yeah,
But what that did help to know that kind of symbolized how, like, kind of the overarching men and women thing, like springtime and rebirth and all that stuff. And I did watch another video today about it, and this gal's like, the movie, it starts a lot of has like a lots of beginnings of these interesting ideas, and then it just doesn't go anywhere with them. So there's lots of like surface level, not surface level, like beginnings of metaphor that doesn't finalize. But I mean, I just trying to, I only got that after a couple of watchings. So let's see what happens with me with these movies. It's exactly what happens with me with songs. I love song lyrics,
mm-hmm.
but I really love song lyrics that I don't understand at all. And Christy thinks I'm so bizarre, because the less comprehensible a song lyric is, the more I'm going to like it, because I just love just trying to figure it out. And half the time I never figure it out. Most of the time when I do figure it out, it's probably just my interpretation.
Right.
Like I really love the singer Sam Beam. He goes by Iron and Wine. Tons of cool lyrics. And I had personally like totally analyzed this one song, and I figured out what it meant and everything. And then I heard an interview with him, and they're like, "What does this song mean? What's it about?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just kind of wrote it. Doesn't mean anything."
Right.
So it's one of those things that take what you want out of it, and you can have all kinds of opinions about what a movie means or what a song means. But I think it's like any art. I think you take out of it what you come to it with, and if you're in the mode for it,
Right.
if you're not in that mode, it's not that you can't figure it out, or because you're not like, it's just a personal preference thing to me.
Right.
And if you don't like that, you don't like that.
I will say this. I didn't hate this movie. I thought that it was visually stunning.
Yeah.
I thought that the cinematography was really, really good. I thought that the choices, the twists and the turns of the plot
Yep.
were they kept my attention. I compare it to the other art house movie that I watched of Under the Skin.
Right.
Where that is also metaphoric,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so drab. It's so dry.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't keep my attention. I had to skip through and be like, I can't. It's mind-numbingly boring. That doesn't mean
I totally understand. Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just a subjective thing for me.
100%.
But this movie, there's a rewatchability to it. Now that I know a little bit more about it, I would rewatch this movie and try to figure out some things and watch it through the lens that I have now.
Yeah.
It's not going to make that final rebirth scene any easier to watch. But I mean, because it definitely had Ace Ventura and the Rhino's butt vibes. You know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
It had that, and the camera definitely was. It didn't shy away from close-up shots that I thought were unnecessary. And
Well,
I wouldn't make those decisions. I understand how you got there. I understand why it's necessary. I wouldn't make those decisions. I would go, yeah, but maybe we could tell it a different way. We don't got to show that, blah, 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 whatever. But Alex definitely chose to set up the camera a specific way during that time. And
it's definitely horrifying.
It's bizarre is really what it is. It's so bizarre what's happening that you can't look away.
Right. It's uncomfortably, horrifyingly bizarre.
Even though it was uncomfortable, I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And the fact that it just kept happening.
Yep.
Every single time a man was born, he immediately started to conceive another. Yep. And I was like, oh my God.
The first time I saw that, I think I watched the whole, how long that scene is. It seemed like 12 years long.
Yeah.
And my mouth was just wide open the whole time. Like, what is happening?
Because I didn't expect it. That scene is like Jeff. She accidentally runs over Jeff. She's finally leaving. I think the boy comes into the house and the boy is like, hey, you didn't play hide and seek with me. It's an easy game. Let's play now. And it basically like freaking creeps her out. And of course, that's a creepy thing to do. He broke into the house and all this stuff, right? She finally escapes. She cuts his dang arm in half.
That's brutal.
That was brutal. Like from the middle finger, ring finger, all the way down his forearm. Crazy. And then
same wound her husband had.
Right. And
all those men had the same wound that her husband had. The broken leg, the ripped off arm, and
yeah. So she escapes. She's driving down the country road, and there's Jeff, who is like he's soft in comparison to all of the other characters. His quote unquote misogyny is not, I would call it accidental.
Right.
he's just trying to be a good
He's trying to be a
dude.
nice guy. Yeah.
He's just trying to be. I interpreted that. It was like, oh, well, let me get your bags. No, I'll get them.
Yeah.
Like that. He's just being a nice. Now, you could take that as misogyny if you wanted to, or you could take that as toxic masculinity if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I don't see why you would. Anyway, he's trying to be a nice host. I think he's trying to be a nice host. He does assume that she's married, but it's not, how dare you assume this? She says Mrs. Marlowe.
Right.
And he's like, oh, where's hubby? He makes an honest mistake there.
Sure. Yeah.
But then he hits, or she hits him with the car, and like he kind of snaps. And you're like, oh, well, he's going to run her over then, because he drags her out of the car, gets in it, drives off, turns around, comes back. But then from there, when the Green Man shows up again and starts to basically give birth to himself, like, I was not expecting any of that.
Yeah.
It's again, it's very visually stunning and very visually disturbing. And it definitely kept my attention. I'm going to give this movie 3 stars.
Oh, really?
I didn't think that it was bad. I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I could possibly go up higher to maybe closer to 4. It was not a bad movie.
Yeah, I don't know why I like things I don't understand, Zach.
Yeah. It's not bad to like things that you don't understand. I'm very curious as to why Men, what was it about the movie Men that would make me want to rewatch it versus Under the Skin, where I'm like, I never want to see that movie. I
think because I think with Men you can watch it and without trying to get into all the metaphor and blah blah blah, it's still a engaging story. It's still creepy and freaky to the horror part, because why are all these dudes the same? And there's this, like, there's the anxiety of that you feel from her, right? And this weird thing at the end. It's a creepy movie by itself. But Under the Skin is just like incomprehensible without a metaphor.
Yeah, I would be interested to find the director commentary of Men. See if there is one, and just because I don't typically am getting those more opinion piece metaphors and symbols, but hearing it from the horse's mouth would be better for me. Like, what was the line of logic behind making this decision? What was the importance of showing that particular thing the way that you showed it? All of this stuff from the director. So yeah, I would be interested in finding a director commentary and watching it. I would also be interested in finding a Riff Tracks version of this movie and watching it too. Yeah. So, because I want to hear what those guys would have to say about this movie. Yeah. Anyway, at least 3 stars for me, and yeah, I enjoyed this one more, despite the fact that it was incredibly bizarre. But it wasn't unlikable bizarre. It was just like, I don't know. Maybe it was also the human story. I could put myself in maybe Harper's shoes. I could put myself in Jeff's shoes. I could. It's more relatable than an alien movie about luring men into some meat grinder. Like voided meat grinder. Like, that's not relatable to me. I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having the patience to watch it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. I let on that it was I had problems with it, but truth be told, it was just the fact that It was just the fact that I remember sitting there yesterday listening to watching those two YouTube videos, and I realized I do not know how to review a movie. Like, that was my main takeaway from both of those YouTube videos, was like, they are diving into this thing, and I'm just some freaking bumbling idiot who's talking about movies on my podcast. And
I'm with you. There's no way I could do what they're doing.
No way.
No. And so, like, when I watch this movie, I watch it, I'm like, what the heck did I just watch? And then I watched it again, and I kind of pulled some stuff out of it, because I knew, I'm like, there's a lot of it got to be a metaphor here. And then I watched like 10 or 12 of these videos on YouTube. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I could watch it, and I'm like, oh, I see that now.
Yeah, I think it's worth rewatching. I think it's worth rewatching. It's not a bad movie. And the English countryside is far prettier than the Scottish countryside, and I won't hear anything about it. Okay?
All right.
I'm not saying that the Scottish people are trash people. I'm saying that the countryside. Talk to the Lord about it, okay? Talk to the Lord about it. Figure it out, okay? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. And also fight me. Who cares? Come at me, bro. Like, just saying.
I won't. Whatever I do, I will not eat the apples from your tree, though.
Please don't. Please don't eat the apples from my tree. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to picking out the movies for next time.
Cool beans. You want to go first?
Sure. I will give you the movie. It's a zombie movie. Okay. You like zombie movies?
I mean, okay.
Yeah. But
I watched too much Walking Dead. The problem is that I watched too much Walking Dead, and I feel like I beat zombies out of my system.
This is a different zombie movie. The Girl with All the Gifts.
The Girl with All the Gifts. 2016. Okay.
And it mentions it says it's in the future, a strange fungus has changed nearly everyone into a thoughtless flesh-eating monster. One might think that this is a riff off of like The Last of Us, but this came out like right before The Last of Us game came out, so it's like happened. It's kind of the twin movie thing.
Okay,
it's a movie with heart. So get your Kleenex ready.
Oh my. Okay.
It's a completely different movie.
Pulling on my heartstrings over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you got for me?
All right, Steve. Let's spin the wheel. Find out what your movie is.
Can't wait.
Oh, we're spinning. Here we go. And
this building.
You're gonna watch the movie Scanners.
Ooh, that's been on my list. It's an 80s movie?
It is an 80s
81.
Movie. I'm trying to find...
Dang. This is a movie that I remember the cover of the movie.
Yeah.
From Blockbuster Video as a kid.
Yeah.
Like it burned into my mind, this cover, this video. And I always wanted to see it and never did because the cover's pretty horrifying.
The cover it's what drew me in.
Mm-hmm.
It's what drew me in. So this movie has a C rating. There's a 3.5 on Letterboxd. So that's, for me, that's a C rating in my little list here. And it was a decent watch.
Oh, it's a David Cronenberg.
Yeah. So we will see what you have to say about the movie Scanners next time we meet.
Cronenberg has done some weird stuff, man.
Yeah. I want to, before we end, I want to give a shout out to a podcast that I've been listening to. At least I think I do. Have we mentioned any of the short films that we watched, like on YouTube?
No.
Okay. Then I got two shout outs.
Okay.
First, shout out to a podcast called Something Sinister. It's not necessarily a quote unquote podcast. in my opinion, like this is a podcast. It's more storytelling. So the episodes are more campfire ghost stories. Cool. I don't want to say that's the best way to put it. That's just the vibe that I get.
Sure.
I think that they're told really well. I'm enjoying listening to Something Sinister. I don't know what episode I'm on. There's only like a couple episodes. I pull that up on Spotify. So there are 10 total episodes so far. I have listened to 4: Work From Home, My Other Family, Turnkey, and Red Rabbit. And yeah, I want to give a shout out to those guys. Whoever's writing those stories, their writing is fantastic. They're all, except for the episode 6 is 50 minutes, but everything else is under 30 minutes. And so, I would give those a listen. The other shout out that I want to give is the YouTube channel Alter.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
I watched The Spirit Became Flesh. Fantastic. I thought that was a great short film. I want to watch more from Alter. I've been kind of getting into watching more YouTube horror short films. The Portrait of God was one of them I watched a couple weeks back.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Spirit Became Flesh was another one. They're really good. Both of them. Something Sinister. If you want to follow him if you want to follow Something Sinister on Instagram, at something_sinister_podcast. And then I don't know what Alter's IG is. I'm sure if you just go to YouTube, type in Alter and The Spirit Became Flesh, you'll find.
I watched an Alter film not long ago called The Other Side of the Box. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and only 15 minutes long. So
yeah, they're really, really short. They're not anything. I think Portrait of God, which is not Alter, but Portrait of God was only like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one yet?
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Yeah. There's some good stuff out there besides just these movies that we're reviewing. So, anywho.
Well, Zach, I'm gonna stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting about us stuff and watching the weird movies.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for another weird movie eventually.
I'm sure it will come down the line.
I'll meet them out slowly. So
great.
See you later.
Okay, see you. All right, listeners, that's a wrap for another episode of Horrors Yet Unseen. Thanks for joining us.
And we'd love for you to become part of the conversation. Just drop us a voicemail at 1-216-202-5495 or email us at horrorsyetonunseen@gmail.com. And keep up with the latest by following us on Instagram. That handle is at horrorsyetonunseenpod. We'd also appreciate it if you like and review our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your support means a lot to us. See you next time.